Today's topic is microbiology of fermented foods. Fermentation has been a major way of preserving food for thousands of years. Microbial growth, either of natural or in inoculated population, causes chemical or textural changes to the form a product, and fermentation process is used to create new pleasing food flavors and odors such as chocolate, curd, cheese, bread and many more food items which we use in our daily routine. Let's start with fermented milk. We all know at least 400 different fermented milks are produced. The majority of fermented milk produced rely on lactic acid bacteria. It may be Lactobacillus, Lactococcus, Lactonostoc or Streptococcus species. They are gram-positive bacteria and they can tolerate acidic condition and are non-sporing by nature and are aerotolerant with a strictly fermentative metabolism. The art of fermentation developed long before the science, and fermented meals were produced for thousands of years before Louis Pasteur discovered lactic acid fermentation. By the help of lactic fermentation by lactic acid bacteria, we can make buttermilk, cultured buttermilk, yogurt, and many more milk products. And let's know about mesophilic fermentation. It results from similar manufacturing technique in which acid produced through microbial activity and causes protein denaturation. To carry out the process, milk is typically inoculated with the desired stir culture, a fully selected group of microbes used to initiate the fermentation, and then it is incubated at 30 degrees centigrade, and then microbes are added for aroma and acid production. Here we can use Lactococcus or Lactobacillus species. There are many more subspecies also which can convert milk citrate to diacetyl and can give a richer flavor to the finished product. The use of this microorganism with skim milk products, cultured buttermilk is produced, and when cream is used, it is known as sour cream. So, this is all about the work of mesophilic bacteria or mesophilic fermentation. Next is about thermophilic fermentation. These are carried out at room temperature to 45 degrees centigrade. An important example is yogurt production. Yogurt is one of the most popular fermented milk which is popular in many more countries. In commercial product, non-fat or low-fat milk is pasteurized and cooled to 43 degrees centigrade or lower than that, and then which is inoculated with a 1:1 ratio of Streptococcus subspecies and Lactobacillus subspecies. So, here Streptococcus species grows more rapidly at first and render the milk anaerobic and weakly acidic, and then Lactobacillus then acidifies the milk and even more than that. Acting together, these two species ferment almost all of the lactose to lactic acid and flavors the yogurt with diacetyl. So, this is all about thermophilic fermentation. Next is about probiotics, the health benefit of fermented food such as yogurt. Nowadays, microorganisms such as Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium are being used rapidly for the development of probiotics and the addition of microorganisms to the diet to provide health benefits beyond basic nutritive value. The possible health benefit of the use of such microbial dietary adjuvant include immunomodulation, control of diarrhea, anti-cancer effect, and possible improvement of Crohn's disease. These bacteria may also influence antigen presentation, uptake, and possible degradation. So, nowadays this probiotics has become most attractive treatment for and many more diseases. Nowadays, another interesting group which is used in milk fermentation are Bifidobacteria. They are non-sporing gram-positive rods and they may be a club shaped. So they are found in human intestinal tract and has many beneficial properties. So they are thought to help maintain the normal intestinal balance while improving lactose tolerance to possess anti-tumorigenic activity and to reduce serum cholesterol level. In addition, some believe that they can promote calcium absorption and the synthesis of vitamin B complex, and it has been suggested that it can reduce or prevent the excretion of rotaviruses, which can cause diarrhea among children. So, these bifidobacterium amended fermented milk produce include yogurt and are commercially available. So, this is all about probiotics. Next is about yeast lactic acid fermentation. It includes kefir, which is a product with an ethanol concentration of up to 2%. This unique fermented milk originated in the Caucasus mountain and is produced east into Mongolia. Kefir product tend to the foamy and frothy due to active carbon dioxide production, and this process is based on the use of kefir, that is grains, as a inoculum. In this fermentation, the grains are used to inoculate the fresh milk and then recovered at the end of fermentation. This kefir was actually produced in leather snakes hung by the front door during the day, and passers-by and expected to flush and knead the snakes to mix and stimulate the fermentation. Here, fresh milk could be added occasionally to maintain its activity. So, this is all about yeast lactic acid fermentation. Next is about mold lactic acid fermentation. This lactic acid fermentation results in a unique finished fermented milk, which is commonly known as bilai. The milk is here placed in a cup and inoculated with a mixture of the fungus, that is Geotrichum candidum and lactic acid bacteria. The cream rises to the surface, and after incubation at 18 to 20 degrees centigrade for 24 hours, lactic acid reaches a concentration of 0.9%. The fungus form a velvety layer across the top of the final product, which can also be made with a bottom fruit layer. So this is all about mold lactic acid fermentation. Next is about cheese production. Cheese is one of the oldest food, probably developed roughly about 8,000 years ago. About 2,000 distinct varieties are found nowadays. Cheese are mainly classified on the basis of their texture and hardness as soft cheese. They may be soft and unripened. They may be soft ripened and semi-soft and hard or ripened, or maybe very hard and ripened. So, all these cheeses are results from a lactic acid fermentation of milk. Renin is an enzyme which is isolated from calf's stomach, but nowadays it is produced by genetically and can also be used to promote curd formation. After the curd is formed, it is heated and pressed to remove the watery part of the milk, which is called whey, and then salted and then usually ripened. This cheese curd can be packaged for ripening with or without additional microorganism. Next is about the cheese making process. The cheese making process comes down to 10 essential steps. We will explain here one by one. First of all, we have to prepare milk. This step often involves pasteurization or a more mild heat treatment. Heating the milk kills organisms that could cause the cheese to boil and also prime the milk for the starter culture to grow more effectively. Once the milk has been heated or pasteurized, it is cooled down to 90 degree Fahrenheit. So, it is ready for the starter culture. If a cheese calls for raw milk, it will need to be heated to 90 degree Fahrenheit before adding the starter culture. Step is acidifying the milk. In this step, the cheese making process is adding starter culture to acidify the milk. So, if you have ever tasted sour milk, then you know that the left long enough milk will acidify with its own. However, here is any number of bacteria that can grow and sour milk instead of letting milk sour on its own. The modern cheese making process typically standardizes this step. Cheese makers add starter and non-starter culture to the milk that acidify it. In this step, the temperature of the milk will be 90 degree Fahrenheit and it must stay at this temperature for approximately 30 minutes while the milk ripens. During this ripening process, the milk's pH level will be dropped and flavors the cheese begin to develop. Third step is curdling the milk. In this step, milk is at liquid state. So, cheese makers need to start manipulating the texture. The process of curdling the milk can also happen naturally. In fact, some nursing animals such as calves, piglets or kittens produce the renin enzyme in their stomach to help them to digest their mother's milk. Cheese makers cause the same process to take place in a controlled way. In the past, natural renin was typically the enzyme of choice for curdling the milk, but cheesemakers today usually use rennet, the lab-created equivalent. Rennet is a inactivated protein which is kappa casein and it turned into a para kappa casein. The most important thing is to understand it simply that this reaction allows the milk to form coagulated lumps known as curds. As the solid curds form a liquid byproduct remain, which is known as whey. Next one is cutting the curd. Here, the curd and the whey mixture is allowed to separate and ferment until the pH reaches to 6.4. At this point, the curd should form a large coagulated mass in the cheese making vat. Then, cheese makers use long curd knives. Then, when reaches the bottom of the vat, to cut them into a cut. Cutting the curd creates more surface area on the curd, which allows the curd and whey to separate even more. Cheese makers usually make crisscrossing curd vertically, horizontally, and diagonally to break up the curd. The size of the curds after cutting can influence the cheese level of moisture. Larger chunks of curd retain more moisture, which leads to the moisture cheese, and smaller pieces of curd can lead to a drier cheese. Next point is draining the whey. At this point, the curd and whey should be sufficiently separated. So, it's time to remove the whey completely. This means draining the whey from the vat, leaving only the solid chunks of curd. These chunks could be a big or small, depending on how finely the curd has been cut. With all the whey drained, the curd should look like a big mat. There are different means of draining whey. In some cases, cheese makers allow it to drain off naturally. However, especially when it comes to harder cheese that require a lower moisture content, cheese makers are likely to help others from a mold or press. Putting pressure on the curd impacts and forces more whey out. Next step is chitering the cheese. With the whey drained off, the curd should form a large slab. For some cheese, another step remains to remove more moisture from the curd. This step is known as chitering. After cutting the mat of curd into a section, the cheesemaker will stake the individual stab of curd. Staking the stabs put pressure on them, forcing out more moisture. Periodically, the cheesemaker will repeat the process, cutting up the stabs of curd again and restaking them. The longer this process goes on, the more whey is removed from the curd, resulting in a denser, more calmly finished, cheesy texture. Fermentation is also continuous during the chilling process. Eventually, the curd reaches a pH of 5.1 to 5.5. When it's ready, the cheesemaker will mill the curd slab, producing small pieces. Next step is salting the cheese. The curd is now beginning to look more like cheese in its final form. To add flavor, cheesemakers can salt or brine the cheese at this point. This can either involve sprinkling on dry salt or submerging the cheese into brine. For example, cheese that gets soaked into brine is mozzarella. Drier cheese will be called dry salted. Next step is about the shaping the cheese. There are no more ingredients to add to the cheese at this point, so it's ready to be shaped. There is where the final product really begin to reveal itself. Even with so much moisture removed from the curd, it is still moldable and soft. Therefore, cheesemakers are able to press the curd into mold to create standardized shapes. Next step is aging the cheese. It is a final step. For some cheese, the process is already finished. But for many cheese, what's known as aging remains. In this step, aging should occur in a controlled, cool environment. As the cheese ages, molecular changes takes place that causes the cheese to harden and the flavor to intensify. The aging process can take anywhere for a few days to many years. In some cases, mold develops, which adds unique color and flavor to the cheese. Once the cheese has finished aging, it is finally ready to be enjoyed by consumer. So, cheese can be sold in whole wheels or blocks or by wedges. So, this is all about cheese making process. So, this is all about today. In this video, I have tried to describe about the fermented milk, and this microbiology of fermented food will continue in my next video. Thank you for watching this video.